Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make some alternate projects using the July 2024 Painted Petals paper pumpkin. Quite often they come in a lovely bright orange box, which is always so cheerful and a delight to find in your mailbox. And every so often they do a decorated box. And look at the box. How could you not want to dive in and know what more is in there? So the box we've already done because a previous video. These are the full colour instructions that come with every kit. The nice thing is it shows you what you need. It does show you a few alternate projects, and right now there is even a little add-on like a die kit which I haven't got to yet. So the cards look like this, and what I did was I made a version of them by removing the back portion. I'll put a link in the description box below to that video. So these were the delicious cards that we got to make out of that. Today I'm going to show you how to make more cards out of the envelopes, because the envelopes are decorated on the front and they've also got all the way down. So it's basically like a little sheet of designer series paper. It does require some standard Stampin' Up cardstocks, but they're so easy to come by. I will put a link to my online store if you don't have them and you would like to buy them, because believe me, you're going to want to by the time you're finished looking at all these projects. So I'll start from soup to nuts. I'll start from the very beginning with the Melon Mambo one, and then I've already cut and prepped the other two so you can just see how they go. So it needs a piece of regular cardstock, and it's 8.5 by 5.5. It's scored at 4 1/4, which we know makes a regular sized card base that goes into a standard envelope. But then it's also scored at 2 1/8, and it folds back on itself, and that's the basis of a ZZ fold card. So it opens like this. There is a piece of basic white, which is a smaller layer down, so it's 4 by 5 1/4, and I'll actually just go ahead and stick that to the inside because that's where it's going to end up. And then we already know that little piece of it is safely taken care of. So it has a 1/4 inch border around and it's ready to roll. So the ingredients that we need come from one of the envelopes, and this is how we do it. So I'm going to put it into the paper trimmer, and I'm going to line up the edge of the envelope just sort of hidden the trough. On a Stampin' Up paper trimmer, the nice thing is the trough is this lovely dark grey brownish colour. So just so it's hidden, and I'm going to slide my cutting blade down and cut off like a hair's breadth, a 1/32 of an inch, because that's as much as we need. And then I'm going to go over to the other side, and the reason I flipped it over is it's always best to have a straight edge up against the top of the paper cutter to hold it safe and secure. And again, I'm just lining the outer edge up against the very end of the paper trough itself and cut down. So again, a 32nd, and then that will allow the envelope to open. So what we need to do is we need to cut the bottom off, and because this is white on white, what I'm going to do is flip it over so it's easier to see, and I'm going to line up the edge of the coloured side again just with the edge of the paper trough, and because it's butted up against the top, we know that's going to cut a nice straight line. The trick you will need to know is you need to have a sharp blade. Sometimes I start to do this and it gets all fuzzy and it's like, uh-oh, time for a new blade. So now we've got just the front of the envelope, but don't do anything with the back because we're going to need that too. And then what we need to do is line up this piece of the envelope at 4 1/4. The directions and dimensions will always be in my blog, so you can always hop on over there and just search for whatever the name of the YouTube video is that you want to see, and it will pop it up. So Line this up at 4 1/4. Make sure it's buttered up straight against the edge. And then we're going to slice it. This piece I'm going to save because it's going to be used in yet another set of projects. And then what we need to do is cut this at 3 inches. So we're going to line it up at the 3-inch mark and cut it. No, I'm lying. We need the plain piece to be 3 inches. Sorry about that. So line this up at 3 inches. So the white side, not the floral side, is 3. And cut that. So you've got a piece that's 4 1/4 by 3. This is the layer that's going to go on there on the other side, but then we need to cut that down by a 1/4 inch. So the nice thing about a Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer is it has up to 1.5 inches of measurements on this side. So this side supports the most of what you're cutting from. So we line it up at a 1/4 inch, close the cutting and trim it off that piece we don't need. So now it's actually going to be a nice 1/4 inch layer around. And then what we need to do is bring back in the back side of the envelope that we cut off. And we're going, can you see where the thickness of where the envelope was attached? We're going to line that up and cut it off. It doesn't have to be precise because there's more than enough in here for what you need it to be. And then we're going to line, oh, you know what? Let me just go ahead. I'm just going to put this over the cutting trough. Again, it doesn't really matter how big this is, you know, within reason, because there's more than enough that we need. So now we've got it lined up like this, and this needs to be 3 inches because we're trying to make it be the same size as the pink piece. So we'll line this up at 3 inches and cut that piece off, and then we'll line this up at 4 1/4 and cut that off. So what you've ended up with out of the back of the envelope is a second piece that is 3 inches by 4 1/4. And the reason we've done that is trying to stick to true and use all of the pieces out of the kit. And I'm using the back of the envelope. I'm going to attach it to the coloured piece of the front of the envelope to try and sturdy it up. So I'm just going to bring in my silicone mat and I'm going to put some adhesive on the other side of where it's the delicious pink Melon Mambo. And I'm going to line up, whoops, both of these pieces. It's a little bit difficult to do it from an angle, but I don't want to get my big noggin in the shot. So now we have a double thickness and it just gives it a little bit of support, but I don't know if you can see, there's just a little bit, like a hair's breadth, because that was the way that it came out of the paper cutter. So I'm actually just going to trim that off by hand. You can put it back in your paper trimmer and cut just a hair off, but sometimes I just like to use my scissors quickly. So now we've got the background piece and the layer. So I'm going to bring in the greetings so I can get those stamped. So you can see we've got the ZZ and we've got the piece that's going to attach to it, but I'm going to add some dimensionals, so I want to stamp it first. Now the Paper Pumpkin kit gives you, the first kit you order, you get this lovely, nicely rounded polymer acrylic stamp holder, and every kit comes with an ink, but I happen to have the full-size ink pad of this, so that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to bring in the stamps that came in the kit, and I've chosen the one that says "Let's Celebrate You." So I'm just going to ink up the stamp and stamp it on the front. pop those out of the way. And then what we're going to do is add the base of the ZZ fold part. Those of you who watched my videos since forever, thank you very much. And those of you who are new, welcome, welcome. This is the trick that we use to make sure that we've got these in the right place. So this is where it would go. So you've got an even border around, but we flip it over because you don't want to put glue more than up to here, because if glue comes over, it's going to stick down to this part. So what we'll do is we flip it over so you can see this is the, you have to just imagine this line going down. So we'll put glue up to that point. So when we flip it over and line it back up to the middle, when you turn it over, there is no sticky here. So that's a nice little trick of how to do that. And then I'm just going to bring in some dimensionals. I get most of my dimensionals, if I'm honest, from my paper pumpkin kits. You can get them from my online store. But seriously, they give us so many and they are so generous. It's quite incredible. If you aren't already one of my paper pumpkineers, I do invite you to subscribe with me. You can find all the details in the link below and also on my blog. And if you've got any questions or comments, I do Zoom classes for my paper pumpkin customers, and we get together and we have lots of fun. So that's the card made from beginning to end using the envelope. I will just go ahead and quickly do the other ones. So here is Calypso Coral. Sorry, being awfully loud. So scored at 4 1/4, scored at 2 1/8, folded back on itself. Quickly put the little layer of 4 by 5 1/4 inside. I've already gone ahead and stuck the two pieces of the envelope together. So again, using the same trick, flip it over. Actually, I think I'll stick that side down. Flip it over, because right now, of course, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it does if you've got your greeting already on it. And then we know from this imaginary line, you can't go further than that to stick it down. So when we pop it back into the center, there is no sticky here. And again, using some more dimensionals. I can stick those quickly on. And there is the second one made from the envelopes. And last but not least, we'll go ahead and do the final one. So this is using the Peach Pie, which is one of the lovely new in colors, the 24-26 in colors. Scored at 4 1/4, doubled back on itself at 2 1/8. Stick in the layer of 4 by 5 1/4. And then this one, because it was daisies, was a little bit different. I didn't want it to be too dark and green. So it does have the green, which is the other side of the envelope front. So we'll plop it down, do the ZZ fold trick, and flip it over. No sticky on this side. And then last but not least, pop some dimensionals onto this one. And there you have it. If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing. Give me a thumbs up. I do like thumbs up. If you've got a question or a comment, pop those in the description box below. I always try and answer everyone. It's one of the nice things about having a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator on your side. We're always here and available to help you. Like I say, all the directions and dimensions will be on my blog. You can always find all sorts of things on my blog. The link to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin will be there. There's a link to my online store if you want to buy these different backing cardstocks. But there you have it. So we've got the 3 cards made from the card fronts from the kit. And these are 3 absolutely lovely cards, if I say so myself, made from the envelopes and a few supplies. So there you have it. Blog, subscribe, thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching.